Hey guys, welcome back to the Knitting Expat Podcast part 2 for episode 144. I think I still haven't checked to see if that's the right number, but I decided towards the end of filming the main podcast that I'm actually going to separate out the spinning segment and the dyeing segment into a separate video, because the whole podcast was going to be over an hour long, and I really am trying to keep my podcasts under an hour, preferably around the 40-45 minute mark. So I'm going to put the spinning segment this time, the spinning, and I have some dyeing content, so spinning and dyeing fiber section is going to be in this video separately. So watch the other video as part 1 that has all like the upcoming new pattern release, other general admin info, knitting, finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions, general chit chat, knit along news. All of that is in part 1. This is purely just going to jump right in with the spinning and dyeing stuff. Okay, next up we have this tray of fibery spinning stuff. Oh, and we have a giveaway as well to do, which I just realised because I saw the bag for the giveaway. I'll talk about that a bit later. Just put that so I don't forget about it. It's there. Okay, so what should we start with? Spinning finished objects? Does that sound like a good one to start with? Okay, so let's, oh jeez. Right, let's start with spinning finished objects. So there's a fair amount of spinning to share with you guys. Clearly got a bit of an autumnal vibe going on. Lots of yellows and oranges and sort of brown colours in there. So I think the first one that I spun was this. So this was a braid of fibre by Unique Fibres, which was part of my fibre share package. It is 100% grey Suffolk that was dyed, and I spun this as a two ply, and it's come out roughly a DK weight, 222 yards in 203 meters, and that's the finished skein. There we go. I really like how this turned out. I didn't do any sort of real colour management at all. I just broke it down into strips and divided it in half by weight and just did a 2-ply. Great. Stuff just fell on the floor. Pick that up later. Then what did I do next? I can't remember what order this was all in, but I'm just going to pick stuff up. Another one that I finished recently was this braid by Ushatita. This was part of my Solidarity Swap package. I took part in the first round of the Swap, and focus, there we go. And this was also in my package. This is a blend of, such a soft blend. It's camel, silk and merino. I don't know the percentages, they weren't written, and there's no colorway name, but it's just, look at that, that's so drapey compared to like the grey Suffolk. You see like how much drapier that is compared to that. I spun this as a 2-ply as well. Again, didn't do anything super fancy, just split it in half and spun them, and it spun so beautifully. It was such a nice spin. It was a bit tricky in places because there were sections where the camel fibre is quite short, so there were places where I was spinning and then it was like a clump of camel came out, and I was like, okay, well, this is really thin and it just ends up being a little bit slubby, which is fine, like I really don't mind it. And the other thing I realised when I was plying it is that it's turned out to be a little bit underplied, actually quite underplied, because when I took it off the wheel it was already balanced, and that's usually a sign that your yarn is underplied, because you want it to have some twist, as it will lose that twist in the washing setting stage. Typically I think I heard somewhere that you lose about 30% of the twist when you wash and set your skein of handspun. So the fact that it was already balanced meant that it was going to be underplied once it was washed, which is actually fine, and I don't mind that. I think sometimes there's a time and a place for loosely or a looser spun or looser plied yarn, and I think with something so drapey that might be the right time for it, because it's so drapey and beautiful. I think this would be great in a shawl. I ended up getting 294 yards or 268 meters, so this is like a pretty decent sport weight. In some places it's definitely more of a DK or worsted weight, but I think this would be really beautiful in like a cowlet or something like that. So it's not quite enough to do a shawl, and I only have the one skein, but it'd be nice as like something for around the neck because it is so soft. And then another thing, this is kind of acquisitions, but it's relevant to what I'm going to be sharing with you. I placed an order think I told you last time that I found somewhere to get spindles for these spinning kits that I'm putting together. I actually ended up going with someone else. These are handmade wooden spindles from, I'm trying to remember the name of the company now. I think it's Spinspired. I can't remember the name of the company now, but they're somewhat local to me, and they make these spindles by hand. And so I ordered a bunch of spindles from them. I ended up getting 2 more than I needed for the kits, which is fine, because I wanted a couple to play around with myself. And a few of them came with these like coloured whirls. Most of them came with just plain wooden whirls without any colour. Layla immediately gravitated towards this one, unsurprisingly, so I've decided to keep that one. And this one had, most of the whirls are this shape and thickness, and this was the only one that had like a smaller circumference whirl, which was quite deep. It still spins beautifully. I've spun with both of these just to try them out, make sure they work nicely, but I thought this is quite a bit different, so I decided to keep this one back as well. I might use one of these for like a giveaway package or something, but I've decided to keep these 2. But I wanted to try them out. So with this one, I spun this fibre, and so this is Ile-de-France in the yellow, also from Unique Fibres. This is half of the braid, and I spun all the singles on this drop spindle, but I plied it on my wheel. I know how to ply on a drop spindle, I can do it. Honestly though, it just takes such a long time, and quite frankly it's just quicker on a wheel, and like, I just rather do that personally. But so that's what I did. Spun the singles on the drop spindle, plied on the wheel, and I don't have my notebook in front of me here, so I can't check what the yardage was for that, but this has been washed and set. It's a really bouncy fibre. It reminded me a bit of Rumplestiltskin when I was spinning it, which makes sense because it's like a French breed, and Rumplestiltskin is a French merino, so yeah, nice and smart, really lovely sort of golden yellow colour, and it's got hints of green in there as well, which is really nice. And then with this one I spun this fibre, and so this was just some fibre I had which I turned into rolags, and it's about 18 grams here, and I spun that up with this one again, spun the singles on the spindle, plied it on my wheel, and yeah, I'm definitely getting faster with the spindle, and the reason why I'm doing these on the spindle is because I'm planning on filming some beginner how to use a spindle videos, and I kind of want to get a little bit more comfortable with using a spindle to spin some yarn to be able to do those videos to a level that I would be happy with doing. So those should be coming soonish. I'm hoping to start filming those early October to hopefully get the videos out by the end of that month. Another spin that I did was this one, and this is just the leftover. So this was fibre, it's a Corriedale dyed in like a gradient by Crafty Cat, and I decided to spin it as a fractal, as you can see, maybe. And so I split it in half. One I just spun end to end, and the other half I turned into rolags, into gradient rolags, and yeah, applied them together. I had some of the rolag fibre left over, so I just did that as a chain ply, and yeah, I believe this turned out to be about a Sport DK weight. I can't remember the yardage again, I haven't labelled it yet, and the information is in my notebook, which is buried somewhere under the stuff on this table. So there we go. And I don't think it had a particular colourway name, it was just Corriedale. It was a white Corriedale base. And then I played around with dyeing some fibres and stuff the other day with food colouring, and one of the fibres I dyed was a merino soy fibre blend, which was really interesting, and I hadn't really seen that before. So I dyed it, and it turned out with these really beautiful sort of muted pastel colours. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture to show you on my phone really quickly. And I just really liked how it looked, and I thought, oh, I'll spin this up just to see how it looks spun up. You can kind of see that it's a little bit blown out, but a bit more green in it than it's showing on camera. Yeah, that's a bit better. That's a better colour representation of what it looked like. And it was about 40 grams. So I spun it up on the wheel, and I just really liked, as I was started spinning, I really liked how it was looking as a single, so I decided to try and spin it as an intentional single ply yarn, and I really love how it's turned out. I absolutely love it. The colours look really pretty. I think if I tried and plied it together, it would have muddied it up a little bit more. As it is, it just looks like really soft, sort of dried flowers almost. It gives that sort of dried flowers effect, and it's just really soft. So what I did was to spin this as a single. I wanted it to be a soft spun single ply rather than like super energized or have a lot of twist in it. And so what I did was I put my wheel onto its lowest whirl so it wouldn't put in as much twist, and I slowed down my treadling as well, and upped my tension so my intake was stronger, so there wasn't as much twist going into the fibre before it went onto the bobbin. Hopefully that made sense to those of you that spin. And yeah, I really enjoyed how this turned out. This has been washed, and I attempted to full it. I'm not sure if I was successful or not. I think I was. It doesn't feel like this is gonna pull apart, so I feel like I was successful with that. And then I decided to do a full braid like that. And so I did this last night, actually. I spun this all last night. This is fibre from Easy Knits, which I picked up at Fibre East this year, a couple months ago. Will it focus? This is fibre from Easy Knits. It's their fluff in the Polworth base in the golden colourway. So this one hasn't been set yet because I haven't folded it yet, because I only finished this last night and I wanted to be able to show it to you guys today. But again, I did the same thing. I had it on my lowest whirl, I was treadling slowly, and I had my intake set to be higher. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this has turned out. And Polworth has a tendency to puff up a lot when it's washed. So I'm interested to see what the finished weight of this is. Pre-washing, I got about 398 meters or 400 and something yards. So a decent amount of yardage there for a single ply. And I think it was about 114 grams. So yeah, like a pretty solid, I mean, as it is, it looks like a anywhere from a fingering to a DK. So averaging about a sport weight, I would say. But we will see what it looks like once it's been washed. And again, I'm not sure what this is going to be. This was just an experiment really, because I've not attempted to spin a lot of I've not attempted to spin a lot of single ply yarns before, or at all really. So it was a fun little experiment to give that a go. And because Polworth is already such a soft fibre anyway, I thought it'd be nice and squishy. In worst case, I can always put it back through the wheel and ply it, or hold it double for a project if I think the single ply is not going to be strong enough. So it was just a fun experiment really, more than anything else. And that is all of my finished spinning projects. There's a lot there, but it's been a few weeks since I sat down to speak to you guys. So as for spinning works in progress, yes, I will share that with you. First up I have is this fibre from John Arbon Textiles. I believe this one is called Dark Gold of the Sun. It's on a Corridel base. It's got these beautiful colours in it though. There we go. It's beautiful blues and golds. It's basically all the colours of the rainbow on a really dark base. And it's so soft, it does not feel like it's just Corridel, but I believe it is. Or it might be Corridel and some Falkland Merino. I can't remember, to be quite honest. But I think it's just Corridel, I really do. But it's beautiful. And I picked this up at Fibre East as well. And I've spun, I split the braid in half. Not braid, it was just the fibre top. And it was 100 grams, I think, or just over 100 grams. So I split it in half, and then I split each half in half. So you have your top as a long strip. I split it in half in the middle this way, and then I split each half in half. So each one of these is a quarter of the total amount of fibre. So 2 of these were spun onto this, and these 2 will be spun onto another bobbin, and then I'll be plied together as a 2-ply. And this fibre, John Arbon's top, naturally, for me anyway, wants to spin fairly fine. Like, I feel like that's a fairly fine single. It's not super fine, I probably could have got it thinner, but that's fine enough for me. If I can get it to focus, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? So you can see what I'm on about. Come on, camera, there we go. It's fairly fine, like it's definitely a light fingering lace weight single. So I'm not huge into what I don't really want like super thin lace weight finished yarn, so I like my finished handspun to be around a fingering sport weight and up, depending what I'm going for. So I think this will be like a solid fingering sport weight fibre, just depends how it washes up. And then my other work in progress is this fibre, this lovely sort of pinky red fibre. This is Superwash Polworth from Witchcrafty Lady. Almas was really sweet and she gifted me these two braids of this fibre for Layla. And she saw me prepping one of these braids the other day and she was like, my fibre, my yarn, this is mine. I'm like, yes it is for you. And then I said to her, Mummy's going to spin it up for you. And so I was spinning it up, and then yesterday she got home from nursery and she ran up to my wheel and she saw this bobbin on it and she was like, Mummy spin Layla yarn. I'm like, yes, Mummy's spinning Layla's yarn. So this is 100 grams on this bobbin. I still have to spin this one obviously, and then they will be plied together as a 2-ply. And depending on what yardage I get after I've washed it, because again Polworth has this tendency to bloom quite a bit once it's been washed, depending on what yardage I get, I may also spin this up as like a fractal. This is a Corriedale fibre from Grace of Babel's Travelling Yarns, or Babel's Yarns, and because I think the colours go well together. So depending on how much yardage I get from just the red, then I may or may not add this into the mix as another skein to do a sweater for Layla. So that would be, I think that's going to end up being her Christmas sweater this year. I feel like it's fairly Christmassy, but something she can also wear year round. It's not like overtly Christmassy in terms of the colours. It's green and red obviously, but it's not going to be like too Christmassy, hopefully. Well, she loves red, so she'll wear that year round anyway. So that's that plan. And then in terms of other spinning related content, I guess it's more dyeing content now. I've been having some fun playing with dyeing fibre, and these are all dyed with food colouring. So the first one I did is this braid. So this was 50 grams of grey Corriedale, and I dyed it with 4 different colours of food colouring. So there's yellow here, orange, and then it went into a colour that was called red from the food colouring, and then into a brick red in the middle. And I just really love how this has turned out. Really, really lovely sort of gradient of colours. I think I'm planning on spinning this as a gradient, so spin it end to end and then chain ply it is my plan for this one. And then this was the other little bit of that merino soy fibre that I had. So I had 50 grams of that in total, but when I opened it up there was a little chunk that was separate from the rest of the fibre. So this one I dyed in, actually this was the only one that I would consider a slight fail from what I'd intended to get. I spun it, I dyed it, and it was meant to have like splotches of yellow, splotches of red and splotches of orange, but it all just turned into orange in the end. So this was like the only real like quote unquote fail dye job, but I mean I still really like the colours, it's just not necessarily what I'd gone in intending to get as a result. So that was a nice little lesson I guess. But yeah, so that was a little one. And at the same time I also dyed this fibre, and this is Polldale and nylon, Superwash Polldale nylon, also from Witchcrafty Lady, which I picked up at Fibre East. She gifted this to me just to play around with, and I thought I'd have some fun dyeing it first. It was like a neutral, the neutral was more like this colour, I think this bit was undyed in the process. So it was like a white grey base with like streaks of darker grey running through it. And so you can really see that darker grey bit that's popping through in the other colours, which is really quite fun. So again I dyed this as a gradient. There's like, what was the colour called? It was like royal purple that went into royal blue, which went into this like jade colour, into a moss green, and ending on a forest green. So that was a really fun sort of gradient. I'm planning on splitting this in half vertically and then spinning end to end and chain plying them for sock yarn gradient socks, which I think would be really, really fun. And then these two braids are 100% Polworth. There's white Polworth from John Alban Textiles, and I got these prepped and ready last weekend. My mum and my brother came down to spend the day with us, and my mum and Layla dyed these 2 braids together, which was really fun. It was quite cute watching Layla tell my mum what to do, which was really cute. She loves dyeing fibre, and I really enjoy dyeing fibre with her. So yeah, that is what these turned out like. Looking around to see if there's anything else I'm missing, but I'm not. I need to speak to my mum to see if she wants either of these to spin herself, or if she I think she's got a fair amount of fibre now, so she might not want these right now, but I might hold one back for her at some point, who knows. But yeah, so this was mostly purples, reds, and some green that went in there, although the reds have come out quite pink in the finished fibre, but it's still really beautiful overall. And this one was all greens, blues, and yellows, and a bit of jade in there as well. I think I really like this one. It's really springy. It's got a real sort of like spring vibe to it, and definitely sort of like a colour combination I want to do more of, I think, and it's really lovely on this Polworth base. So that's it for dyeing projects. I wanted to quickly share with you guys about these spinning kits that I'm putting together, and I'm almost ready to put them together for to put them for sale on Etsy, along with some other stuff that I'm going to be selling. So I'm going to be selling sets of Rolags and mini bats individually, like on their own, or I might put them together in like little sets, because each sort of like batch of Rolags or mini bats don't weigh that much on their own, so I might put them together into like, I don't know, 100 or so gram packs, so you get a couple of different things together. I'm also going to be selling some hand spun and some little weaving kits. I was talking about this before, like little mini samples of hand spun, similar to things like this or like this, where I've just got little bits either from like little experiments I've been doing or leftovers that I've just applied together, and I don't have a plan for these, what I'm going to do with them, but they'd be really fun for like weaving projects, and I'm not a weaver, so I don't have use for them. So I'm putting those together, but the main thing I really would like to do is put these spinning kits together, like beginner spinning kits. So the idea that I have, and I did have a little look online, and I haven't seen anyone offering something quite like this, so I feel like there might be something there. I'm not doing a huge batch, there's only going to be 12 of these initially, and if they do well and people like them, I will do another run of these, or a larger run of these, in the run up to Christmas, because I think they'd be really great Christmas presents. So you get like a little canvas, not canvas, like a muslin drawstring bag, and in it you will get a spindle. They're all slightly different, they're handmade, and so each one is slightly different. They all weigh in the region of around 30 to 35 grams, some a little bit less, some a little bit more, but around that range typically, which is a great weight of spindle to begin with. It's not too heavy, but it's not too light either. You can spin both finer yarns and some thicker yarns on this. So really, and they're really beautifully balanced. Like I said, I've been spinning on these two and really enjoying it. So yeah, these for this. You'll get a pack of Rolags, and then they'll have a label on it that tells you how many grams they are, and if I know what the fibre content is, it will say. Otherwise, they are known as kitchen sink Rolags, because they are just from a mix of fibres. Sometimes I don't know what the blends are, I don't know what's in them, so that I'm calling them the kitchen sink Rolags. So this particular pack is 35 grams. Overall, you will always have a minimum of 100 grams of fibre in the set overall, typically around 100 to 110 in total. And then I still need to label these, but then you'll also get a little mini bat as well. These are so cute. I absolutely love making these. These are going to be about 20 grams. And then, which is really, really adorable. And then the final is some top that I've dyed with food colouring. I'm going to just turn this around, I can show you. They're hanging on the clothes rack over there, still drying. They're almost dry, just a little bit damp to the touch. So I've got them on there just to finish drying out. There we go, that's a bit better. Okay, so then so you've got 3 different fibre preps, as well as your spindle. And then, like I said, I'm planning on doing a video tutorial series. It'll probably be about 2 or 3 videos on how to spin with a spindle, and also how to ply with a spindle, and a couple of different plying options that you have that I've played around with that I think are suitable for beginners. There's obviously tons of videos out there, but I wanted to create a resource myself for you guys. A lot of the spinning kits that I've seen come with like a pamphlet or a leaflet which explains how to spin. I personally don't think that's particularly useful, because I feel like with spinning it's one of those things that's very visual, and the way you learn is, I found it easier to watch videos of people learning showing you how to spin rather than reading it from a book or a leaflet. So I won't be including a pamphlet on how to spin. I will hopefully be posting videos that will be free for everybody to view, so there's not going to be an extra charge added on to the cost of the kit for something that I don't think is particularly useful. So yeah, and they're going to come in these little kits. The spindles will be wrapped as well individually, just to protect them in the packing process. And yeah, so you'll get your own little spinning kit, which I think is quite cute. So that was one option, and they're all going to have different colours. I'm going to show you another option. So some of the row lives I've done up are like this sort of size, so they fit in. I was trying out different sizes and styles to see how best they would fit in the bag. So some are going to be like coils, some will be in straight lines, straight tubes like this. And then the mini bat that I put together for this one is here. Unfortunately, the only thing is, when I photograph these, they're going to be in their plastic packaging because I don't want to take them out and damage them. So I'm not entirely sure. I mean, obviously I'll photograph them as best as I can so you can see as much of the details as possible. And each kit will be photographed individually and posted individually for sale, because they are all very different. They're not the same at all. This is just 2 of them, and like I said, there's going to be 12 in total. So a fair few kits are going to be available. So that's that. I have a pile of stuff in front of me right now, which is kind of ridiculous. Alright, that's it for the spinning and dyeing segment. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really enjoyed part 1 and now part 2 of this podcast, and I will be back again shortly. Hopefully it won't be so long between episodes, and next time the whole thing won't be as long and it can be just 1 episode, so we'll see. Alright, take care, thanks for joining, and I'll see you soon. Bye!